Elite Assembly. Step up and see flashes the ToyLeet crew. We're the kings of the game, yeah, the chosen few. From the shadows we rise with the rarest find. Collect them, respect them, we're one of a kind. ToyLeet, reign the streets. Elite with the feats in this collectible feast. ToyLeet, never the street. We're the heart of the beat, we're all playmates me. Check our stacks, our collection supreme. Limited editions, every collector's dream. We're the myths, we're the legends, with every drop. Taking over the block, we never stop. In the alleys where the headphones play. ToyLeet's the name, hear what we say. Rising, thriving, always vibing. In our realm, we're always dropping. ToyLeet, reign in the street, we'll live ToyLeet. Stand in the pace, with a snap of the case and a click of the lock. ToyLeet's on top and we're ready to rock. Collecting more than just toys, we're up. We're up. We're up. For the chase, ToyLeet's in the place, set in the pace.
What's up, dude? I didn't screw up this week. We got in here without a problem.
Yes, we did. And on time we started.
Something like that.
Our time.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So if you don't know who that dude, I messed it up. That dude.
Nope.
That's all messed. Nope. It's this way. Yeah. Nah. That dude right there. If you don't know who that dude is, that is Ed Akxion Figs.
And that guy over there.
Throw the thumb up like this.
Yeah, that guy over there. I can't do it that way. I got to do this way. That guy over there. That's Travis, aka the Mr. Wonderful.
That's me. And together we're some clumsy group.
Yeah.
We're not an alliance. We're not a coalition.
No.
We're not a team. We're
something elite.
Oh yeah, we're the elite. We're the elite.
Right? Yeah, that's what we are. We're the elite commando team.
Exactly, that's what it is. Yeah. No, I think we're something else. It's way cooler. It's something about plastic.
Toys.
That's what it is.
Talk about toys. That's what.
Yep, toys. Jeez. Damn it! I didn't buy anything new this week.
How easily we forget when we're surrounded by them.
Exactly.
It's kind of like your wife and kids, right? They're surrounded by them all the time. You just forget about them. It's like, who the hell are you again?
Exactly. So, we're the ToyLeet. We like to get together every week, and we like to talk about plastic, what we've collected, and, other things that are adjacent to the plastic, comics, graphic novels, things like that. I did just order some cool stuff I'll talk about in a moment from my local comic book shop. But yeah, we like to talk independent toys. We don't talk about Hasbro and Mattel. I mean, we talk about them, but we don't really give updates on them. We might pick something up and talk about it, but it's not really our focus. We still collect it. I still got a crap ton of those on my shelf and whatnot. But we like to talk about the independent toy lines because those guys are a lot of times in this community. Like there's, opportunities to meet them in person, at a lot of the conventions, like Toylanta or Joe Lanta this past weekend, things like that. Legions Con coming up. So we like to talk about those and celebrate those that are in the community, that are giving back to the community and really dive into those. If you want to talk to somebody or listen to somebody talk and rant and run on and on and on and on and on, he just joined our chat a couple seconds ago. But he'll talk about those mainstream things. He does a really good job bringing up the news every week for your Hasbros and your Mattels. He loves his Super 7. He loves his McFarlane. So he's
Super 7 are his two favorites.
I think so. And he says he doesn't lose subs when he talks about Masterverse and all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, you could check out Punk with Toys on Monday nights. He has a great 3-hour plus show where he gives me a hard time in the last like 5 minutes of the stream about not giving him a promo video, which I did see, Punk. I did see that. And then, you got the unboxing art on Wednesday night. So there's a ton of folks there. But we like to, talk about the independent toy lines here. And that's where we focus all of our attention. We got tons of news this week. Well, I won't say tons. We got a bunch of news this week. We also like to give a shout out from the Crick, which is a throwback to Ed's, original part of this show with his son. And that's where we just champion someone in the community that is doing some cool stuff. And we also typically will pick something that one of us has received recently, and we will either flush it because it's a toilet-worthy toy, or it's a ToyLeet-worthy toy, which will end up on our shelf. So, unfortunately, this weekend, I don't have anything I'm ready to talk about. Nothing ready to flush or champion. I just didn't get anything.
Pick anything up at all this week, so far, anyway.
Yeah, nothing on my end.
Yeah.
This week's a little different, though. We don't often do this, but this week we got a guest.
Oh, we do?
Because we got a guest for the main topic. Because that's what else we do. We also talk about a main topic, but we don't take 6 hours to get there.
Right.
We get there within 20 to 25 minutes. And this week we have a special guest here to help talk to us about the main topic, which is focuses on toy photography and things about that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll bring him in just a moment.
And we have a special announcement towards the end.
Yeah, that's the big thing. He's here to help us with the big announcement for something that's going to be really cool that we're putting on. We're working to get some additional sponsors, I guess, for this, which I think will come through. And I know we have a number of things that are for the contest that I think folks will be really excited to hear. So don't leave. It is towards the back end of our thing, but I promise we won't drag it on for 3.5 hours before we get to it.
It won't be 12:30 tomorrow morning when we finally get.
And before we go to the chat, because I know that's already starting to pop up, let's bring our guest in here.
Yeah, let's bring our guest.
Bring our guest here. We have Emerald Knight, aka John. Do you prefer Emerald Knight or John? Either or?
It doesn't matter. Emerald, John,
Awesome.
Whatever floats your boat. Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
that guy. PowerCon.
We could come up with something really good.
Awesome.
So first of all, before we hit the chat, how'd your show go tonight?
Good. Yeah, I mean, we had it's pretty lively chat. I mean, we had a lot of talked about some stuff, that we picked up. Had a surprise guest in there. Actually, Trevor from 16 Shooter was on there. I was actually kind of excited. I actually kind of fangirled out there a little bit. Kind of got a little bit kind of
have
God.
to.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're talking toy photography, and like he is like the the GOAT. Like he's the Tom Brady of toy photographers. So yeah, it was cool for him to be on there. But no, had a good time. We talked about what we picked up and what's coming out. So yeah, had a good time. It's a nice little hangout session with the Geeked Out clique. So always a good time.
Good deal.
Nice
Good deal. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's I love the shirt. I popped in for a little bit while I was doing some prep for the show beforehand.
Appreciate that.
So I did see him come in. I love that show. I don't get to pick it up as often as I like, so I got to catch the reruns because it starts a little bit earlier than I get to my computer and away from the family. But I love the fact that you're out there promoting photography of not just your own stuff, because like you don't even really do a lot of your own stuff on the show. It's really promoting someone in the community, which really ties back to a lot of what Ed and I like to do with the ToyLeet is promote folks in the community. That's why we talk about independent toys. That's why we always do a shout out from the Crick for somebody, and all of that stuff. So totally cool stuff. And I think the event that we're going to talk about at the end of the show is something that really could help tie into what you guys do on the Geek Out show. Maybe you guys can point some people our way, because I think it'll be a cool thing to take part in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're all about leveling people up and like showing people that. I mean, just showcasing everyone's work. I mean, it's always hard with Instagram, with the algorithm, all that kind of stuff, all those gyrations. That it's nice to kind of like when we're going through people's work and they're tagging us like, hey, that's a great pick, and I go look at their profile like, hey, let's showcase this person, let's get their work out there. I mean, because it is a passion for some people. I mean, it's a hobby, passion, whatever you want to call it, but it is another way for us to kind of play with our toys, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, we enjoy it, but I mean, you do get a little bit of a pleasure when you take a photo and then somebody looks at that, goes, that's awesome, man, I love that. And it's like, you know what, I'm gonna get that figure, I'm gonna buy that. And so I was like, yes, you need to buy it, because like I love it. It's like, I'm glad it's almost like an impersonal way of kind of like just saying like, we back in school when you would hold a figure up, go out there, you would take it to school, hide it, like, hey, check out what I got, and like, oh man, I need to get that. I'm gonna go tell my mom or dad to pick that up. So yeah, that's kind of like how I look at it. So that's always a
That's
good,
awesome.
good way.
Good deal. Good deal. Cool. Ed, you want to hit that chat up real quick?
Absolutely. Let's
And we're going to dive into a lot more around that, John. So we look forward to chatting more about that for sure.
Hey,
Oscar Thomas Toys is here. Hello, friends. What's up, Oz? And we are now officially a Toy Tube since Nolan the Man is here.
There's Nolan.
And Paint's Toy Samples. Hey, kids, what's up, Aaron? And we got the Eldor Master Universal Toy Hunter.
That was our shout out from the Crick last week, I believe, if I do remember correctly.
That is correct. And then there's this guy.
Comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
Punk, Mr. YouTube there. Mr. Hey, as always, much love.
And then Paint just popped in and said, got some finishing touches to do on your fig, but it's close. He's making me a custom fig, so I'm so excited.
Yeah, I've seen it, Ed. He's shared some pictures with me. It looks good.
And the man, Ted Darklaw, from HellaDoll.com.
From HellaDoll Toys. Go get your toys there.
Yep.
Go over there and visit Ted and Aaron. Ted loves packing boxes, so the more stuff you buy, the more boxes he can pack. And he just explained to me earlier tonight when I was talking to him how much he loved wrapping packages in bubble wrap. So
nice.
Same Time Toys. What's up, everybody? What's up, Same Time Toys? And Clint Jorgensen is here. Jorgensen, legendary guest Raider fan from Texas.
Yes, that is me. That is me right there. Yep.
And Punk says, "Don't hate me because I entertain my fans for 3+ hours." Yeah.
We'll just refer to you. We'll just refer to you as Mr. Stamina from now on.
That's
Punk.
right,
Mr. Stamina.
No. That's the Iron Man, Mr. Iron Man.
Okay.
The Iron Man. Yeah. Bret Hart. Yeah.
He likes being called Bret Hart. That's his favorite wrestler. Now that I said that, he's going to retract this. What's up, Emerald Knight? Specific hello to you. And we got Dave's demand. Daredevil Dave. That's who this is. Yep. What's up, everybody? What's up, Daredevil Dave? And my buddy's Customs in the house. Bunch of good-looking gents we have here on the panel today. Thanks, bud. And that is it for the chat.
Good deal. Well, as we alluded to, we don't have a ToyLeet or toilet, so nothing's getting flushed this week. So, I didn't get anything.
No one gets to see our clean toilet today.
Exactly. I will say I did get an order in with my local comic book shop, which I've talked about before. This month in the Diamond books or whatever, you get to put your pre-orders in. Put my pre-order in for the 5-pack or whatever they call it, like the trade back, paperback or whatever for the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom for 1 through 5. I still haven't seen number 5, so I'm really pumped for that. And he's getting me like the individual copies of 4 and 5 right now, so I put a little order in there, so those will be coming shortly. Man, that hurts.
Wow. Oh,
that
man.
hurts.
We hurt Punk's feelings.
Hey. Oh no. Oh man.
Hold on. I think we're good. We've moved on from Ed. Punk. We'll stick around with you. Everything's good. I've got my new co-host here. No, I can't.
John's like, damn, I can't do another Tuesday night show. How about Wednesday?
Yeah, awesome. So I think we're gonna jump right into talking.
Let's dive right in.
The main topic.
Yep.
So just pulling that up here. I think there we go. I figured all this technology stuff out. So as I alluded to, the topic this week is a toy photography, a new artistic expression. As you know, I love to bust out my guitar and my piano and let these vocals out. So I did put a little video together, and in that video, I've used all Emerald Knights photos. So take a look at our guests' wonderful talent and skill set here for a couple seconds as we
enjoy Travis's song.
Yes.
The shutter's flying, fingers close, no denying. Lighting's perfect, angles tight, bringing toys to life tonight. From battle scenes to calm display, capturing worlds in our own way. Through the lens, the stories flow. Toy photography steals the show. Toy photography steals the show. Toy photography steals the show. Toy feel alive with every shot. In the frame, they hit the spot. Action figures caught in time. find. Toy photography, an art that shines, telling tales with the toys we find. Emerald Knight, a master hand, with the camera takes a stand. From tiny props to epic light, every pick a perfect sight. Creativity's the name of the game. Pose them right, they'll never be the same. Toy photographers, we unite, show the world a toy film right. Toy photography steals the show. Toy photography always steals the show. Toys come alive with every shot. In the frame, they hit the spot. Action figures caught in time, turn the simple into crime. Toy photography, an art that shines, telling tales with the toys we find. Emerald Knight, a master hand, with the camera takes a stand. From tiny props to epic light, every pick a perfect sight. Creativity's the name of the game. Pose them right, they'll never be the same. Toy photographers, we unite, show the world a toy film mind. So grab your lens, set the scene. In this world you reign supreme. ToyLeet Takeover's the place to be, where toys and art meet fantasy.
Well, I mean, I think I had some good vocals there, guys. But I think I was outshined by the photography for sure.
That was awesome.
Some really cool shots, John. Like, really looking forward to talking about those in a bit as we go through a couple more items here. Oh crap, dude! Yeah, technology. It's a thing. It's a thing.
I thought that was me. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing, man. I was like, oh, I got the mics on. I just forgot to throw us back up here. So, no, it's really, really cool stuff. And I was looking at you guys in the backstage area, so I was like, who needs to see us? Like, yeah. No, for sure. So,
everybody in the chat's really cool going, what the hell are these guys doing? I can't even see them.
It probably looked a hell of a lot better than normal. Let's be honest, there, right?
That's honest.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. I got some pictures later on as we slide through this, but yeah, no, great work there, Emerald Knight. But we're going to talk to him. We're going to ask him about tips, tricks, how he got into the game, what you can do to update, improve your game, and how you can bring your skill set forward for what could potentially be a really cool event that the ToyLeet are throwing soon. Next, Ed, I'm just going to run this real quick.
Creek where the water flows, we're shouting out to those who know.
That is my voice too, guys.
Joy, sharing love, ToyLeet fam, you rise above. Shout out from the creek, you're the best. Hype up the heroes who've passed the test. Community stars shining bright, lifting each other, it feels so right.
So, Ed,
before we get there, I would just like to say I would love to drive down like a beach road in a convertible with that song just blaring. It's just, it feels so good.
It's just got a good feeling. So I was trying to cut it a little bit short just because we got the guest in and I just played the long run there from the other one, but I couldn't figure out the technology. Again, it's a thing. So, Ed, I will toss it over to you to do the shout out this week. So whenever you're ready.
This week, the shout out from the crick is none other than our guest, Emerald Knight Photos.
Man.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
First I want to say before you dive into this, Ed, is you win nothing, you get nothing, but you're a champion as a shout out from the crick. So
we should come up with like a medal we can give out to our guests for being a shout out.
That'd be cool.
Anyway, since John is here, I'm going to let John just promote himself and just tell everybody where they can find you, John, because it'll be easier for you to say it since you know all the places.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can catch me on Instagram on emerald_night_photos. I'm also on a weekly live stream on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Central with the Geeked Out Click. We have it. It's called Geeked Out Live. But yeah, every Tuesday night we have a live stream. And we talk about anything geeky. We talk about toy photography, new toys that are coming out, film, television, whatever is current in the geek culture. We have a weekly feature photographer that we show on our panel. We showcases their work, their IG page. So yeah, that's pretty much the main two avenues that you can catch me on. IG and YouTube. So
Yeah. And if you want to see some awesome pictures, just go over to Emerald Knight's IG page, because his photos, as you saw in the music video that Travis put together, are just phenomenal. So as Punk always says, he can make Super 7 look good. He's a master.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh man.
No, definitely. And John, we had the pleasure of meeting at PowerCon last year.
That's right.
Person.
Yep.
Pleasure to meet with you. I didn't get to hang out with you as much as I hung out at the booth trying to hustle my wares, but I know that everyone speaks highly of you, and from your streams and the chats that you're in with us, you're always prompting stuff. You and I, we have a little not bickering. We have a chat on the side about pro wrestling where we do a bunch of talk there and stuff. So we have some good laughs. I try to convince you.
John should be a guest on the 1-2 Kickout podcast.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. He hasn't told me he's a Bret Hart fan too many times. He does drop that once in a while, but
every once in a while,
right?
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
I think you're encouraged by that negative Canadian that we have in that chat too.
Yeah,
but I digress. The next thing we like to go into is we're going to touch on the news.
If I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
Our newsman just had a coughing fit right when he went live on the news.
I thought, you good?
And now over to you.
Just choking on water. I think that would be referred to as drowning, but we'll call it choking on water. So the weekly news here, as I pointed out before, we focus on independent toy lines. So that's what we're going to dive right into. And up first, we have one of my favorites, near and dear to me, is my Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. There was a quick update over the weekend. There was an update last Wednesday about some updates, but mainly the big item for me is this next one, which is this tribute faker figure here. Going to be in hand. It's going to be available at ToyLanta March of 2025. So the 28th, 29th, and 30th, you can get this in person at ToyLanta. They were just there this past weekend at Joe Lanta, and they announced this. They had this on display. This is a figure I want. Anyone listening that attends ToyLanta, please do me a favor and let me know if you can pick this up for me. No shill, not trying to shill here, but I don't know if I'm able to get this otherwise, and I don't want to miss out on one figure here. So very much so interested in this one. I thought this looks really cool. John, do you collect Animal Warriors of the Kingdom? Are you into that line? I know that you got a lot of Four Horsemen and stuff, but are you into the AWOC stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I actually got to talk with Adam. So it was actually cool at Joe Fest. I actually got to meet Adam, up close and personal at Joe Fest, and that was really cool. And then Brick I think he's going to Legion's Con, this November. So I'll be able to meet him face to face for the first time. So yeah, AWOC is definitely they hit that sweet spot for me. It's like I love animalistic figures, and I love the fact that it kind of. Ed, you probably remember the figures that had the hologram and the chest. What were they called?
Those are
what were they called?
We just talked about them a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where's Ted Darklaw? Those are his favorites.
He's in the chat.
Man,
what are those called?
They remind me of them. They remind me of them there, though. As far as because they had the armor and everything, and they were you had a shark, a lion, a tiger. Yeah. So those were, they kind of are in the same wheelhouse. So they definitely, I'm 100% AWOC, but Travis, are you a big Faker fan though? Is this like a kind of like a
No, I'm not a big Faker fan. I'm a big AWOC fan. I'm like double dipped in on the all-ins and things like that.
Nice.
Like I'm crazy AWOC fan. I was just down in Pennsylvania over the summer and saw these guys, saw Jason again at ZoloCon, and they had some of the the Gladiator Pale and the Gladiator
that's
Atreo and
nice.
stuff. So even though I already had those on pre-order from my homeboys over at Dope Toys, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to grab a couple of these. I missed out on the wolf thing, that jackal, whatever it is they had, because they were all out by the time I got there. But yeah, I love the AWOCs. It's a toy I can give my kid to play with, and I don't worry about it breaking. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm a completist. I want the complete series because I have everything already. So yeah, definitely want to get a hold of that one. So yeah, well, this will be a big one here. Again, contact me if you're going to be at Toylanta. John, I will most likely see you again in November when I'm at Legions Con, because I'm looking to go there and pop in on that Saturday for sure.
Nice.
Did you and Adam shoot spitballs at each other at Joe Fest because you were close enough to each other?
Pretty much, yeah. Much, yeah. I mean, I was just, I mean, honestly, I bring this up quite a bit, but I was so surprised how tall Adam is, though, because I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're in this kind of like, we're just little squares.
Yeah.
And so when Adam walked through the door, I mean, I was just like, holy crap, this dude's like, he's like 7 feet tall. I was like,
really?
He is. Yeah, he is tall. He's a tall.
He's
I was just like,
gotta be at least 6'2" because he's a couple inches taller than I am. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Tony Figs too. He's another one that was like, I mean, when you meet people in person, it's like, throws you off because you're just like, I recognize the face, but you're either here or there. You're kind of like So yeah, but no, he great guy. I mean, and everyone from AWOC, I got to talk with them quite a bit. I picked up a couple figures from their tables. So yeah, there was and they were right there. And it's always hard because I was at the Delta 17 booth and you're kind of watching everything. And you're just like, I don't want. I mean, not that I don't want to, but I mean, my budget. Like I'm here to spend a certain amount of money, but then you're just like, they look so good. I have to get some. So by the end of the show, I just walked over there and it's like, hey, it's like, I got a couple figures and like, yep, there you go. So
I spent so much on AWOC from Jason's table at PowerCon last year. It wasn't even fun.
Yep.
Same here. Awesome. Cool. Moving on to another one of the.
Let's get brutal.
So we
yes.
Brutal. They obviously fully funded. They posted an update on the Kickstarter, some pictures from Joe Lanta. It was the first convention they had been in person. I know they had experienced some setbacks through the hurricane, caused some delays, but they did get some of their figures out. I think half the figures were on display, but they anticipate being at Legions Con next month and having the full lineup on display. So just
nice.
You can see these. I saw these. I saw some other people's photos next to the AWOCs. And Ed, I know I wasn't huge on these in the very beginning. I obviously went full nut job on the Kickstarter by the end of the time that it came. But
I don't expect anything less from you, though.
But they look good. They look good.
Yeah.
So I saw some armor sample things they had, and they were using them on Pale and stuff. And I was like, ooh, these are good.
There's like a process now. Travis says, yeah, this Kickstarter looks decent. I'm not really that interested. I'll probably pick up one. Then a couple weeks later, he says, man, this stuff is looking really good. And then a couple weeks after that, he says, yeah, I'm all in.
Yep. That's pretty much how it goes. That's pretty much how it goes. Jumping into the next one. This is a new logo. I'm not sure if folks know what this is. It's Collegiate Legends. This is an interesting one to me because I wasn't aware of it. And it snuck up on me after this past weekend's Joe Lanta. So one of the guys that's in one of the toy groups on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, he posted a picture of this. And it's actually like action figures articulated. And the thing that caught my eye is if you look in the right-hand corner of the brand and the producer of this is Harbinger Studios, which if you're a fan of Savage Crucible, you know who delivers Savage Crucible. So this is an interesting one to me. They've got a couple, I moved away from my notes here, so give me a second. They are working on so recently in college football, they have these nil deals, which is that name, image, and likeness stuff that they can do in the college sports memorabilia industry. It just got approved a couple years ago, or in the last couple of years. They actually signed a deal with Malachi Moore, who is one of the wide receivers, I think, over at Alabama. And they're producing his toy, his college action figure, with a number of other Alabama collegiate legends. And I assume that what they're doing is trying to branch this out into a line that they'll be able to expand into other collegiate athletes and whatnot within the football realm. It's interesting.
What I see happening with these guys is people buying them and customizing them to.
That's what I think.
NFL players.
Yeah.
Yep, I very much so see it. It's perfect because they don't have as much decals on the helmets because
Yep.
they're college. So, there's not a lot of extra stuff there. Normally, they don't, more often than not, college players don't always have, I think there's a lot of colleges don't put the names on the back. So I think there is. It's been a while since I watched college football or played the game. So NCAA college football game just came out this year. So it seems like might be, striking the iron while it's hot or something like that, I guess. So we'll see how this works out.
You primer that whole body up, the whole top shirt part up, relabel it with some, water slides, and you could have Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Joe Montana, whoever you wanted.
Absolutely. I mean, they did that with the McFarland sports picks or whatever they did for the football ones years ago, and I saw people customize those like crazy. These have more articulation. You can modify it. It's not requiring as much modification because you can just bend the arms. So it'll be interesting to see if they do other bucks for linemen and things like that. But interesting mainly to me because it's from Harbinger Studios, and they've put out those Savage Crucible figures, and it'll be interesting. You can actually order one of these figures off their website already, from what I saw the other day. So we'll be keeping an eye on this one too. There's the Dragon Kingdom. This was a Kickstarter that was out there on Kickstarter. We were following it. It did end, and it was unsuccessful. They did hit nearly $10,000 of their goal. They had 62 or so backers, and the publishers of these did just come out and say it did not reach its funding, unfortunately, but they're not giving up, which is always great to see as someone who followed the same path and is working towards producing his stuff. They're going to focus on increasing their awareness through social media, advertising, podcasts, and YouTube appearances, which, Ed, we talked last week, and that's what we highlighted is we felt that they did a lack of promotional and in getting this in front of people. And then, John, if you're not familiar with this, it's a 1/18 scale fantasy line, with some fairly decent articulation. And it was kind of like just a subset of the lore of this Dragon Kingdom.
Yeah. This is the beard section, which is all dwarves.
Exactly, like dwarfs and stuff. Yeah.
So these guys are all like 2.75. And Go Native Toys has been making like 3D printed action figures for quite some time now. And he'll print you a buck, and he basically prints basic bucks that you can use to customize into, Superman, Batman, whoever you wanted, right? I mean, that's what he's been doing.
Nice.
So
Nice.
The next one here is Memory Toys. And this is just some anthropomorphic lion beast thing that just looks really intense. I could see myself picking this one up and throwing him into battle with my savages for sure.
Oh yeah,
so,
definitely.
Very cool looking figure.
That's a guy that just comes and takes over the Awok Kingdom. I mean, damn.
Exactly.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then they had the goblins. I saw them post recently.
Yeah.
Looks cool. I don't know if this is one figure. I think it might be one figure with multiple heads and like kind of swap.
It is. It's one figure. One figure that gets swapped around.
So you could army build this like crazy. I think this would fit in really well with what's that 1,000 for Legion's Con. They're trying to do 1,000 swigs. Yeah. So swig imposters, I guess, or the knockoff swigs. But these are really cool looking for sure.
Speaking of swig, really quick, did anybody see Joe G's custom swig that he put up today? My God,
I don't know that I did.
He put a cat face onto the swig.
I don't know that I saw it.
So good.
Wow,
that's cool.
I would go over check out Joe G's custom swig that he's taken to Legion's Con for the 1,000 swigs.
Oh, good.
Nice.
So there's the Monsters Kickstarter. No, you're good. There's the Monsters Kickstarter. They did reach funding, so they're at 120,000, a little bit over that. This was just a little while ago. They got 8 days to go, so they got another week. So I'm sure this is going to push further. They're nearing their $130,000 stretch goal, which will unlock some color swap variants of Van Nom Nom and Bulltooth. They're both priced around $55 each, if I recall. They're also targeting $140,000 stretch goal, which will include a free item that will unlock and some additional weapons, etc. That'll be available for $20 or so. So the more folks that back this, the more items that are going to get released with it. So folks, if you're interested in this and it's something you like, definitely go out there. Got 8 days left to back these guys. The next Kickstarter is the 9 to 5 Warriors, which I mentioned last week. They had their first releases. They're on their second ones now. And the second one went to a Kickstarter. It's by Brandon Baswell. He created 9 to 5. They're launching their wave 2 of the action figures. I think this is going to have Major Erasers Commandos and the Break Room Bandits. The new figures include Lieutenant Lead, Bird Gauge Bouncy, number 2, the Sergeant Spore, and some stretch goals to unlock things like Specialist Sugar and Corporal Can and whatnot. So this is like all office kind of stuff. Definitely has like that old 80s, 90s throwback to it. They've got stretch goals that unlock 60, 75, and 90,000, which will, get exposure to additional things. Here's a couple preview photos of those. You can see Lieutenant Lead there. You've got the other 2 here, the peanut one, I can't remember his name, but you've got a few different options here that they're coming out with. These are part of the original, kind of the first, goal. And then they have some additional stretch goals on the Kickstarter. But if you go out and check out that 9 to 5 Warriors, it just launched in the last few days. They got about 23 days to go. And they're already at 20,000, of which they've only got a goal of 45,000 to hit the initial goal. So it's actually a really low goal, which is cool for me as a person who's expressed concern when you see, manufacturers, try to go to Kickstarter time and time again, to see that this goal be a little less, to open up the parts library and what they're doing. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think they're going to have a hard time hitting this based on the numbers that they're shooting for and what they had. Plus, they have the credibility that they've done this once before.
Yeah, so it's also good to see Kickstarters not all be, looking for 150, 300,000.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yep, that's probably due to the fact that they're already established to some degree and already been
for
producing
sure,
things, so that they're probably investing a decent amount of their own money into that other piece of it. So,
it's nice to see Kickstarters reach 300,000 when they're looking. For, 95 or something. But there's a lot of them that come out there and they're like, "Yeah, we just want $200,000," and you're like,
right,
for what?
right, exactly.
Yep.
And then we've got the last bit of news here as Patriot Force. It's another 1/12 scale action figure line that's will be coming. They've been continuing to preview. It's actually been quiet from the news perspective from these guys for the last couple months. Really, I haven't seen much from them since Joe Fest, to be honest, Ed, right? There was a couple of things after that.
Wrapped up into the whole thing going on with what the hell's the one that had to take a break for a while. The one that Fist stopped working with.
Oh, in Invincible.
Yeah,
I wonder
they
if
were partnered with Invincible too. So I don't know if they just
Patriot Force was?
Yeah.
That would make sense with Invincible catching some tough times there. That would make sense. And then we have, just some preview shots from them. It was one of their terrorist figures. This is like I think a 3D printed version. You can see that they have that base that, the stand the figure can go on. And then you have some armor. There was another picture, which you can see the back. And the backpack holds a couple of the rockets to go in there. Interesting. It's a 3D print. I'm interested in seeing more of a factory version before I commit to it. I think there's opportunity here. We've seen the renderings and stuff and whatnot previously. Definitely be keeping an eye on that. But that's it for me with the news this week.
The niche to this one is just that they're going to make real veterans into action figures, which is, a really cool.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
If you haven't seen that one, it's really cool. They've actually, like, if you look at their Instagram and you look at all the figures that they've announced, it's all references. It's all
real life veterans.
It's all real life veterans that have signed on to have their head sculpted and their figures, and they give them their actual weapons packs that they would have carried, and they typically show like what their the 3D modeled figure is in armored up and stuff in comparison to how they were dressed when they were serving in the U.S. military. So really cool from that perspective. So looking forward to seeing it come out there. I'm not sure if it's going to be a Kickstarter or, some other funded method, but I know at one point, Ed had mentioned that they've been talking Invincible. Invincible faced a little bit of hiccups with some of their other Kickstarters. So it seems like they've kind of moved apart from some folks. So maybe that was the slowing of the information there. That's what I have for the news this week. Was there anything else you wanted to speak to on the news?
No, nothing else in the news,
there?
but nothing in the Monster Force realm or anything like that. Hopefully we'll be getting those before the end of this month, but wanted to pop through the chat before we moved on to the main topic.
Sounds good.
Matthew was here. He's probably not here anymore. He is over on Pop Blender's channel doing his show at 10 o'clock. So, you guys go show him some love after you're done loving us up. And we have the other hella doper in the house.
Hey, what's up?
And my partner over on 1-2 Kickout.
That's right.
Yep.
And he loves that shot of Coco and Slaughter. Yeah, that was definitely a gorgeous shot.
Thank you.
And Joe G is in the house. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Joe.
And then we have Nolan, Payne, Matthew, and Ted all said Visionaries when we were trying to figure out who that was.
Okay.
And Nolan would love to see a modern version of the Visionaries, which would be awesome. Yep. I love the cartoon still. I catch it once in a while on certain, the cartoon compilations. It's on there. It's just such a cool cartoon.
Yep, definitely.
Yes, and there was the Supernaturals also that had the holograms inside their actual bodies, but those guys usually only have like movable arms or something like that.
Gotcha.
And Nolan for the Brutal Realm says he loves the African Warrior. The shield for that looks fantastic. And the Briscoes here. What's up, Briscoe?
What's up, Briscoe?
What's up?
And the Foo. The Foo is in the house. What's up, Travis? Ed and Emerald Knight. And Foo will be on with Punk on Thursday with a friend this week. So you guys go check that out if you really want to know about Foo and where he gets his name from and what he looks like, if you haven't seen him yet. And Manjosa is in the house. What's up, Manjosa?
What's up?
Good to see you, brother. And Art G. What's up, Art G?
Hey, hello.
Awesome.
And that's it.
And we're getting ready to jump into the main topic. It's only been 41 minutes and 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and I can keep counting. But before we jump into the topic where we're going to hammer Emerald Knight with the tough questions, we're going to get to the bottom of things. We're gonna get all the nitty gritty on how to be as good as he is. Let's throw up that video here, the preview, and we'll be right back.
Quick tap, the shutters flying, fingers closed, no denying. Lines perfect, angles tight, bringing toys to life tonight. From battle scenes to calm display, capturing worlds in our own way. Through the lens, the story flows. Toy photography steals the show. Toy photography steals the show. Toy photography steals the show. Toys come alive with every shot. In the frame, they make the spot. Action figures caught in time. Turn the simple into crime. Toy photography, an art that shines. Selling tales with the toys we find. Emerald Knight, a master hand. With the camera takes a stand. From tiny props to epic light, every pick a perfect sight. Creativity's the name of the game. Pose them right, they'll never be the same. Toy photographers, we unite. Show the world that toy film rhymes. Toy photography steals the show. Toy photography steals the show. Toys come alive with every shot. In the frame, they hit the spot. Action figures caught in time. Turn the simple into crime. Toy photography, an art that shines. Telling tales with the toys we find. Emerald Knight, a master hand. With the camera takes a stand. From tiny props to epic light, every pick a perfect sight. Creativity's the name of the game. Pose them right, they'll never be the same. Toy photographers, we unite. Show the world that toy film mind. So grab your lens, set the scene. In this world you reign supreme. ToyLeet Takeover's the place to be, where toys and art meet fantasy.
Boom, and I brought us back. No technology
Nice.
glitch. Awesome. Good deal. Good deal. So,
and real quick, Roll Keeper showed up. What's up,
hey,
Roll
brother.
Keeper?
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Good
You're
deal.
last
Celebrating
tonight,
the
brother.
Mets win.
You are last. I always want to be first, and you show up last. Man.
Good deal.
All right, Travis, floor is yours, bro.
Cool. So the topic is toy photography, a new artistic expression, right? It's fairly new, at least to me. I mean, I know that like I've been into the toys and, I've seen people doing photography, but it's blown up like crazy with Instagram and things like that, right? So, we wanted to bring someone on who we find to be really talented. at doing the photography stuff, really, right? So, John, that's why I reached out to you, wanted to bring you on. So, before we dive in, kind of like just give us a brief intro of yourself. I know you talked a little bit earlier about your show and the things you work on, but more around, you know, your contributions thus far and really like what you're passionate about the toys are.
Okay. Well, for me, I go back to like, let's see, I was a wee lad. I was born in 19. I was born in 1982, and I think to me, I always say this, and I feel like I had the best of both worlds. I was a kid during the 80s, all pretty much through the 80s, and then into the 90s, early 90s. So I had like kind of like everything that Motu, GI Joe, Ghostbusters, Turtles, Power Rangers, and like the whole gambit. And I think ultimately I'm from that generation that like I had every single line of figures. I mean, maybe not the whole line, but just every like I didn't have all the Thundercats, but I had like Lion-O and Mumra. I kind of just would have the good guy and bad guy going forward, and then I've always had that collecting mentality. It goes back to my dad. I think I said this on other streams, was my dad actually got me really into collecting because he saw how like vintage Star Wars figures were making, or how much their value was. And by the time the mid 90s were coming around, he was like, well, let's do this. Like, the power of the force is coming out. Let's buy all these figures up. And so but my dad himself was a collector at heart. So, but for me, it's always been about action figures. I've always kind of had that passion, and I kind of left that go for a couple years, but it would always resurface, and it resurfaced a couple years ago with Hot Toys. I got a couple Hot Toys, Star Wars related, and DC Comics. I got a couple Batman, Superman Hot Toy figures, and then it kind of stopped right there because I kind of like I justify with them being like bigger and almost like statues, almost like and higher price items, and then COVID hit, and then that's where it kind of for me it was kind of like you don't have anything to do, and then you're trying to pass the time, and then that's where it kind of like snowballed. I started seeing I was spending more time online, more time on Instagram, and I started seeing like all these toy photography pictures, and actually seeing the figures themselves and through toy photography and seeing how well it's it advanced since when I was a collector, and I was just like, oh my god, these figures looks amazing now. It's like they're I mean they're not just like I loved them as back as a collector back in the 80s and 90s, but still it's just like there's been so much advanced in technology that these look amazing. It's like that inner part of myself that loves action figures was coming out, but then just seeing the art, the composition, the lighting, how people were taking these pictures, and making them really, pleasing to the eye. And I just dived in. I mean, it was little by little here and there. I started off with obviously my first love is always going to be Motu, Master of the Universe. I mean, that's always going to be like, I dived in with the Masterverse figures. I never got anything from Classics, so I went all in on Masterverse, and then it just kind of went from there. I got Masterverse, a couple of figures from other lines, and then eventually GI Joe Classifieds, and then Super 7. Super 7 got me with the with GI Joe and Thundercats and Transformers and like just other IPs, and then the Four Horsemen got me. Then when the Four Horsemen got me, that was like then the floodgates opened. Then it was like, then it was Mezco, and then just other lines. But no, I think that's what, just seeing other people's work. I mean, when I, saw that, I just like, I need to do it. But really, for me, deep down, I've always had the creative passion. Like it goes, when I was in high school and moving on to college, I wanted to be in filmmaking. I wanted to be the next Robert Rodriguez. I wanted to be the next Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith. Those kind of guys. And so I would intern and work for free for different production houses here in the Metroplex in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that's how I learned about lighting. That's how I learned about, setting up a scene per se. And that's the way I approach things. Is like I always look at it cinematically. Like I want to like just like how do I frame up this shot? I mean, like I'm framing up a movie scene. So when that didn't really work out because that was like the early 2000s, and it was kind of hard to break out into that business. I found my regular job that I've been working the last 20 plus years, but I always had that kind of that passion, that kind of, I want to do something creative. And with action figures, photography, it was like peanut butter and jelly. It was like a perfect just like combination. Like I can do it, and it's just like perfect. I can combine my love for action figures. They're awesome now, and then I can do like this creative aspect to them. I can make them look cool in a scene. So I mean that's pretty much how I got to this point right now.
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome.
Let me ask you this. You said you like to set your photos up like you're doing a scene from a movie, right? Or that cinematically, right?
Yeah.
Do you think of telling an actual whole story, or do you just like taking the one shot and then letting that one shot tell whatever story it tells?
I actually do. I mean, because for me, like this shot right here, I mean, I wish, I pray, and it's never going to happen, but I wish somehow they would do like they did with X-Men 97. I wish they would do a G.I. Joe season 3, like actually, make Cobra Commander face off against Serpentor, like do an actual face off,
Right.
like a fight scene like this, where Cobra Commander's been he's been returned from snake form, he's back, and he's got his own, the Cobra Civil War basically, and just have them fight, face off. And so I mean that's what's going through my head when I'm making this shot. Like this is like the the prelude to the to the showdown. He's showing back up. Serpentor's like, "What the heck? I thought you were a snake. Like, what the, what are you doing here?" Last I saw you, you were like crawling on on your belly. So, I mean that's that's kind of how I incorporate things. It's a little bit of fan fiction in there, but yeah, that's kind of how I approach things.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Very
And
cool.
so you answered like a bunch of my background questions kind of in that synopsis. So I don't have a bunch of questions left on this slide here. I did have 2 that I wanted to ask you specifically. So one,
Yep.
That's awesome. But from an action figure photography standpoint, you're still relatively new. I feel like if you've only been doing it for a few 4 years, maybe at most, right? If you're talking COVID time, and that's if you started like right at the beginning of it, So I feel like you're only scratching the surface of the talent, like we've seen it. You talked about coming in and having that background in the sorry, what did you said, like movie production type stuff, right? So I imagine that parlayed into a strong kind of knowledge and perspective in being able to jump right in. So that's really, really cool. But that must have helped a tremendous amount when you were getting your feet wet, right?
A little bit, but I mean, it had been years. I mean, this is going from
Okay.
I was doing that stuff when I was like jumping out of high school, and
Gotcha.
then like I mean, it was almost like a 20-year gap, and then it was kind of like me kind of just like peeling the layers off, or kind of just like gradually relearning all that kind of that foundation that I learned way back when. It's like I look at my photography from when I started, and I started, I think I was like, it was actually 2022, I think, when I actually really started photography. And I mean, I look at my stuff, I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's like I think in your slideshow, you actually have my first photo that I took. My actually first is the one at Sub-Zero. And I was just like,
that was the first one.
Well, I mean, it's one where he's like, it's a wide shot, and he's kind of like going like he's got like and I'm just like, I see that now. I'm just like, oh my god. I'm just like, I'm like, oh man, it's like
So,
we.
Did you take pictures of your figures when you were a kid? Like just set them up and take like as a kid pictures that you take, right? I mean,
no, I mean, I mean, we didn't have anything to really do that at the time, but that's the way I play with my figures, though. I mean, I would set them up as a movie. Like I would take my G.I. Joes and I would pretend that they were in a predator scene and they're being hunted by an alien creature and taken out. I mean that's the way I'd always set things up. It's funny because I have a lot of extreme sets. I mean, they're the dial makers, and a lot of the stuff's made out of cardboard. But it's funny because I would actually make a lot of my stuff out of cardboard. I would take a lot of. My mom was, I mean, on her side gig, she did a lot of Avon selling, so she would always have all these Avon boxes that were just like this big, and I would just cut them. I would just like chop them up and just like make like little, little like scenes out of that. But I mean, for me, no, I mean, if I had to, you know, nowadays kids, yeah, you can grab a phone, take a picture, whatever. But back then, like, no, I mean, we had no, I mean, there was no way to like take pictures or you know, even a video camera. Like that was like something you had to hold like this back in the day.
I used to do it, man. As a kid, I used to take pictures on a 35 millimeter no, actually the 110 film, right? And I had the little cube that went on the camera on top, right?
Yep.
People laugh about why I take outdoor shots because I couldn't afford to, you know, as a 5-year-old to spend my money on those cubes. I had to take them outside so I had the right light.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, but I mean, for me, no. I mean, I never did. But I played it like I was setting up a movie scene, though. I mean, that's the way my mind was working, though, as a kid, though.
And that's why the cardboard box is in the Toy Hall of Fame, because of that reason right there.
Exactly.
So many uses for that thing in toys.
Yep.
So one question I had and I wanted to cover was, I know you spoke to what the first photo you took was, but do you remember the first action figure that inspired you to set up a scene and take the perfect shot? Was it that Sub-Zero, or was there something before that really was like, oh man, I could take some really cool pictures of that? Do you remember what that first figure was that made you want to do it?
It actually was Sub-Zero. It was those Storm collectibles. I mean, I don't know what I was doing at the time. I think I was just on my phone, just Googling stuff. And then I saw the Storm collectibles, Sub-Zero and Scorpion. And I was just like, wow, these are nice looking. I mean, these are like really good looking figures. And then I just kind of dived in after that. I actually bought those figures, and I mean, on the aftermarket, they weren't cheap. I mean, they were pretty. They were pretty expensive. But I went ahead.
They're not cheap on the general. Those are pretty expensive to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to begin with, then on the aftermarket, especially those versions I have. I mean, yeah, they're about $200 a piece. So it's just like, I mean, at this point, I was like, I hadn't gotten any really 1/12 scale figures at that point. So I got those, and then. I got the Dio, and then I was like, yeah, let me do this. And then that kind of like got me going. And then eventually I started getting back into He-Man, Motu, Revelation was coming out on Netflix. So then that kind of got me, ramped up again. So it was just like a snowball effect at that point. So,
so when you're scrolling through the internet, right, looking at all the new figures and toys that are coming out, or watching Punk's news show or something, I know myself as someone that dabbles in toy photography and screws around with it a lot, I see a figure, and instantly when I see that figure, it's not like, first, you're like, oh, that's a really cool figure. But secondly, you're like, yeah, I could do this shot with that. And you already have it planned before the figure's even in your shopping cart. Yeah, it's crazy how that.
Yep, exactly. I mean, like Frank here. I mean, as soon as he dropped, I was just like, I'm gonna do some great. I'm gonna get you. I got some.
I got some ideas for you. Yeah.
Yep,
that's awesome.
Exactly.
You're not getting paid for nothing for starring in this, Frank. So sit down.
So that leads about 2 years really, into toy, photography. Really, you got a little bit of a history and some production stuff before, just toying around, dabbling. Obviously, you said 80s you were born, so you and I come up in that same time frame, get to touch and play with all sorts of the best plastic that ever existed. From the Teenage Mutant Turtles, the GI Joes, all the way up to extreme GI Joes, and when people stopped collecting stuff, and some of the best wrestling figures ever. Not to plug wrestling too much, Ed. I know that's my thing. But
Hasbro's, man, Hasbro's.
Exactly. Going, one step further, as you got into the figures, you started seeing other people, I assume, doing these posts. So are there any toy artists or photographers, like could be general photographers, that have inspired you to craft your skill here? So are there anybody out there that you kind of would like, well, if I could be as good as this person, or I know you earlier mentioned that,
Trevor,
1/6 shooter.
Trevor. Yep.
So he was on your stream earlier, jumped in the chat. So that was a big fanboy experience. So I'm assuming he's one of your kind of like, if I could be as good as someone, that's one of the guys that I kind of like, I try to get to. But besides him, are there others in the industry that, in the community that you would be like, I wish I was doing what he was doing, or he's inspired you to get this way, or she has?
there's plenty. I mean, you meet them all the time. I mean, as far as me, like, I've noticed, like, depending on what, like, who you follow and this and that. I mean, it kind of like goes back and forth. I mean, at first it was mainly just Motu. I mean, it was mainly just like a Motu community I was kind of building around, and that's kind of how I met Oz. I mean, Ostradamus Toys. It was kind of through that, and it was kind of like it was more to. But then, as I kind of got more into the photography stuff and kind of branched out, then I kind of started seeing more people that way. But really, Sir Dork, Jared Middleton. I mean,
He's awesome.
he's one of the goats, and he was one of the first that I saw that, wow, you can do this stuff with toys. I mean, his stuff was amazing.
You said Sir something?
Sir Dork.
Did you watch that? When was that? It was probably around 2020.
He's like my neighbor. He like lives. He lives like. Yes, he lives very close. I'm not my neighbor on the same block, but he lives in a couple towns over from me, I believe. He comes to a rinky-dink toy store like 30 minutes from me over in Johnstown, New York, and like I actually saw him at an event. He was actually doing an action figure photography thing at one of the city centers we have here. They canceled their subsequent one, so I didn't have the chance to meet him. I saw him in passing. I wasn't really into the community as much as I am now. But yeah, when you said the name, I was like, I think I know that dude. Like, so yeah, he's a local guy. So he is amazing. He does the stuff with the fireworks and all that stuff all the time. And like a ton of really cool stuff. So
he had a whole documentary made about him.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
They did? I never saw that.
Well, I think it was like a half-hour documentary.
I'll have to check that out.
Okay. No, he's awesome. I mean,
this was years ago too, so.
Oh yeah, he's been in the game for quite a bit, and I started following him, and I mean, he I started supporting him and stuff, and then, I mean, that's it. Kind of just snowballs after that, and then Toy Mirth, Anthony Eck, he's another really great photographer. I mean, the way he films, fills his frame with all these accessories and everything. Sometimes he just does an accessory shot. Like he just like, it is just like a table with, potions and like little things here. But like, because he has atmosphere, the lighting's perfect. I mean, it's just gorgeous. So, I mean, I've met so many different people, even people within my own, little geeked out clique. I mean, I just watch their stuff and go like, wow, that's just amazing. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I've definitely have met tons of people, and even more recently, as I've kind of branched out and joined a couple more collaboration groups, and got to like chat it up with them and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's just it's always nice to kind of see like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people in this hobby than in the same mindset, where it's like, I mean, you get a figure, and like I think a lot of people that are so kind of like frantic on getting figures like the creature. It's like, because I want to shoot it. I want to just grab. I just want to get it in and just shoot. I have all these ideas. Like, it's not about,
you also got that fear that you're going to have somebody else do the shot that you want to do, and then you can't do it. Right? It's like, I see that all the time.
Yeah, that is 100% true. I've done that before. That's happened to me before, where it's like, oh yeah, I have this idea, and then I'm scrolling through there, and somebody already does it. Like, so okay, all right, gotta do something else. So yep, that definitely happens.
That's awesome.
But no, I mean,
awesome.
Mr. Wonderful. I mean, hey, if you ever want to have Sir Dork and me on the show, it's like, it's like
just I'll have to do some feelers at the next show, because he goes to he sets up a booth and stuff normally at one of the toy fairs. They normally do it in June every year.
Nice.
I think I've seen him in a couple
for November. See if
I can try. Oh yeah. Yes. I should do that. I didn't think about that. I have a list of folks. He was not one of them for whatever reason, but I have a list of folks that I will be reaching out to after today's show.
Nice.
Yeah. So that takes us to this next one with some more questions here. So, you already covered a bunch of these. I was going to ask you, when you're setting up your shot, do you kind of like, start with a concept, or do you build the scene around the toy? And it sounds like you kind of like buy the toy for the scene you plan, and a lot of times kind of have that vision before it even goes in your cart, like Ed was saying, right? So one of the things, and I posted these pictures because I think it's an interesting approach, and I know I've seen it on others more recently too, but I first started seeing it on yours where you post the figures, and then you like have a secondary photo where you have that overlay, which it gives like, I'm assuming, and please don't kill me for this, it's like the acupressure or whatever, and it's the timing between the snap and all the cool nitty gritty. I'm photo dumb, so what made you start doing that, and is that so others can do it? Like, is there a reason in the artistic community that folks do that? What is your reason?
I mean, for me, yeah, I started seeing people do that because I was doing it myself. But I was doing it manual, and I was having to like go like actually like go into my different like the application that I'm actually exporting the photo from and like seeing the settings and actually having to manually put that in every single time in my posts. And then I saw somebody, they did that overlay, and I just hit him up on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, man, what app are you using to do that?" And they told me, like, "Cool, awesome."
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, that was so awesome of them. But for me, I do that just because sometimes in the photography community, that's just our settings. I mean, that's just like your f-stop, your shutter speed, your ISO. I mean, again, some people look at that going, I don't know what that means, I don't know, whatever. But from a photography standpoint, it's like it's always kind of cool to see that because I mean, when you kind of see the shots side by side like that, it's kind of like a way of kind of like, okay, so you're at a again, you have a shutter speed, so it's how much your iris is open on the camera. When it's a smaller or bigger, what have you. Same with the ISO. That's how much light is coming into you allow into the camera. So I mean, it's always kind of cool to have that kind of setting on there, or at least to kind of gauge when you see a shot from them. It's almost like it's just it
Do you ever go back to one of these photos and say, I remember that one. How did I do this one? And then use that for inspiration for the next one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like geek speak. It's almost like or Geek Squad kind of talk, with computers and stuff like that. It's one of those things where, I mean, I've done that quite a bit where I go back into my photos like, okay, so I want to kind of redo this, or I want to set that kind of mood. What was I at that point? And I kind of go look at my settings. I was like, okay, wait, I was at this f-stop, this shutter speed, this and that. So yeah, that's kind of what it's helpful to kind of go back for that. But other people kind of use that to kind of see what others are working with to kind of achieve the shot. So
and what are you using? A Nikon? What is it?
So this is a funny story. So I started off with my phone camera. So I started off back with an iPhone. My wife has a Nikon D3300. And when I was doing all this stuff, and just doing it just to, kill time while we're in COVID, my wife's like, because I would always have to charge my battery and this and that. Like, oh, I need to get a new, I need to get like, because I have an Apple. So I was having to buy like the little battery, kind of like the little magnet charger thing. And she's like, why do that? Just get my phone. Or I'm sorry, get my camera. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have a Nikon. Just use that. So, I mean, anybody that says like, I mean, that says, oh, I got an iPhone, this and that. It doesn't matter because I was on an iPhone before. And then when I started working on my, my wife's camera, I didn't know anything. Like I was just walking in blind. I'm just like sitting there just taking pictures. And even with her camera, I was just like, some of those early pictures, I was just like, oh my God, it's just so much grain. It just looks so bad because I had to figure out how to work the settings because everything she does is manual or auto. Because she does a lot of like nature photography. So it's like a lot of running gun, just go out there and just like take photos, stuff like that. But once I stripped all that off and did everything manual and kind of like, I just looked up the manual and just started like, okay, this setting is for this, blah, 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 and learned how to work it. I mean, immediately everything started looking a lot better, a lot crisper.
The depth you can get from a DSLR though is so much better than no matter how great a phone camera is.
Yeah. So I will say that, yeah.
So let me ask this. It's funny you say what you just said. Starting with your iPhone. Love that you're an Apple guy. That's got me right here, man. You could come on this show anytime.
I'll see you guys later.
Exactly. I'm on a Mac studio. I'm iPad screens, phone. It's all Mac in this house. Yep. But that said,
I got MacBook. Yep.
Ed here, he convinced me, without saying it. He convinced me to take my toys outside. It's like I'm my youngest son. You met him when you were at PowerCon.
Yep,
he was there with me. We call him Son of Wonder. So he was there with me. He and I go outside. We'll bring our AWOC, Savage Crucible. We'll take some pictures. But I'm just using my phone. He's using his phone. But you just said that your wife had a camera this kind of she doesn't really use it much, and it's funny because my wife, she's very artistic, way more qualified to do things than I am. She owns a Canon. I actually bought her this in 2021. I bought her a Canon ES. I had to pull it up on the side here. It's an EOS Rebel T8i EFS
Nice.
something.
Nice
She's got a bunch
Yep.
of lenses
That's
and
nice
stuff
one.
for it. So you think I should just like steal that from her since she doesn't use it, since she just begs
You
me for
should.
the newest iPhone because
Yeah,
the
you
newest
should.
iPhone every time has the best camera? I should just
You
steal this.
should.
She doesn't ever use it.
You should,
So, I
because
think I'm gonna use
that
that
was
for Toyvember.
there.
I
You
think
go.
I'm gonna
There you
use it
go.
for Toyvember.
Yeah,
Nice,
I have
nice,
the
nice.
TI7, and that thing is just
Okay.
amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna be
No,
reaching out to you, you know, John, and asking you for some tips on this. I know it's a different camera, but it's like still the same language, right?
once you learn the settings, it's
Yeah.
all the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was
I don't
funny.
know
My
that
wife,
stuff.
when I started showing her pictures of my stuff, she was like, "Wow, it looks really good. Like, what did you do?" It's like I took all that all the auto stuff off there. I started doing manual. It's like, I mean, because once I figured out how to turn off, the auto ISO, all the,
Yeah.
just basically everything automatic, and just went manual. Everything started looking crisper. She's like, "Oh man," I think she actually kind of felt bad because she had that camera for a couple of years, and all of a sudden I had it for like 3 months. And all of a sudden, like my pictures are coming out better than hers. So I mean, go
When
ahead.
you're doing outdoor shots, right? Like I use my Canon doing outdoor shots. I just leave it on auto because it's easier just to I'm just hiking. It's like click,
Well-
click, click, right? And I
well,
mean, if
I-
I take a picture of like a mushroom or something, I go in and figure out the settings and get the lighting and
Yeah.
all that, right? But if I'm just
So-
walking down the trail, snapping pictures of some colored leaves in the trees, it's just much easier to go auto.
So I will say this. So, and thankfully, because my wife, I mean, she does support my hobby. And she did buy me a new camera this past. So that one was hers, but then she bought me a Nikon Z5,
Oh,
and that one is a mirrorless camera. And one thing that a mirrorless camera can give you is in the viewfinder, when you change the settings, when you're changing your aperture or your ISO, anything on there, your shutter speed, you can actually see it in the viewfinder.
and the viewfinder,
With-
that's
yeah,
awesome.
With hers, you can't. I mean, you can change those settings, but it's not until you actually, hit the shutter button and you take a picture that you see the impact of those settings.
Yep.
So there was times where I'm just like messing with it, and I'm just like clicking, and then like, okay, well that's too dark, that's too light. And, okay, let me change it.
Yeah.
With the mirrorless camera, now you can go in there and you can see it in real time, basically. So for outdoor shots, Ed, I mean, I was the same way. Like I would just go auto with her old camera with that 3300, but with my new one, I can go out there. I can immediately just like see what the
That's
difference
nice,
is.
right? 'Cause you can see it as you're going live, because that's one of the problems. Like you said, you're looking through the viewfinder, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, you know what you're doing, but you don't know
Right.
what it's going
Well, how it's gonna
to
come
affect
out.
the photo, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, grateful she bought me that.
Yeah.
And then I got a nice macro lens for Christmas along with it. But yeah, I mean, once people, there's always a question around like lighting. What should I buy? Camera? What should I buy? I mean, it's just like just use what you have at the point, at the moment, and then
Well, like
kind of just go.
look at Frank Roma Toys, right? He uses like
Yeah.
it's a digital camera, but it's not it's not like a anything
Mhm.
high end
It's
Canon
not-
or nothing.
yeah.
Look at his pictures. I mean, they're coming out
It's
great.
gorgeous.
He's using cheap Amazon lights that he buys, and
Yep.
$15 a pack or whatever. It's
Yeah,
just-
I've got a couple of those like generic lumens that he suggested and stuff earlier on. That's what I did
Yep,
with a couple of the decent indoor shots that I think I took that I think look good. they're like, yeah, they look real good, guys.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Yep.
So
I mean,
I was going to
it's
ask that,
more-
like what you use, but I mean, camera, you can start with a phone, but you can get to that high end, mirrorless digital camera, right? And
Yeah.
like, what about lighting? Do you use like the round lights, or like the, like?
So again with camera, you can for me it was more or less like I need to eventually it's like, okay, I need to see what I'm looking at in the viewfinder. So as I did research and kind of figured that out, okay, this is what I need to get. And then my wife's like, okay, I'm just gonna buy that for you, for that's your Christmas gift. Like, no. It's like, no, that's your Christmas gift. Okay, fine, thank you.
Darn it.
Yep. For lights, actually again, it's just little upgrades here and there. Like, I mean, I was using like little cube lights here and there, stuff you buy on Amazon, Ulanzi, if you want to sponsor me, hey, I'll take it. But I have a ton of Ulanzi lights. I mean, these little
Yep.
little
rectangle
cube
lights
lights
like
like
this.
this, right? Yep.
Yep. Also little, tube lights like that you put off to the side.
Okay.
And then, well, recently I upgraded to a softbox.
Oh wow.
So
So that ties to
that
your camera, so it like flicks when you need it to. Is that how that works?
well, it's more for ambient light. So
Oh, okay.
again, because with that and the C stand and everything, so this is
Okay.
kind of like the type of photography that I'm used to working with back in the day. I would always use this this was mainly what you call a key light, and you would actually set this up for some like a front facing. But in photography, in toy photography, I use this as an ambient light, kind of like almost just to cast like an overall light over the scene. Um, and I can make it dark, darker, lighter. One thing I like about this is it's RGB, so I can change it different colors on the spectrum,
Okay.
from red to blue and stuff. But again, it's more or less. I mean, you don't have to buy this kind of expensive equipment or this and that. It's more or less, you can use whatever you have. For me, it was more or less. I eventually to get this up here, this kind of diffuse light and kind of control light, I was having to like MacGyver stuff because I knew what I wanted to get this, but I was having to like jump through a lot of hoops. Finally, I just broke down like, you know what? Let me get the big light. Let me get the softbox. Let me get the stand. Let me get all this this stuff to rig it up because I know what I'm trying to achieve, and that's to get like an overall kind of like just ambient light, so I can get that you know over the scene, and then I can get fill lights and other kind of lights and bounce cars and stuff like that. And
Nothing worse than trying
it,
to get a flashlight to tie on to like a back of a chair or something to give you that ambient light.
yeah, exactly. Or a
Put a piece of
lamp.
paper over top of it so it doesn't shine so bright and all that other fun
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Like a lamp light and stuff like that. And it's funny because again, I kind of have to catch myself sometimes because when I talk to my buddies that don't have that background, when I mention diffusion, when I mention gels, when I mention cinefoil, flags, C stands, they're just like, what are you talking about? Because that's stuff we used back in, when I was learning to be a cinematographer. But and it's still relevant here in photography because you have to use those kind of tools to kind of manipulate light to, do what you want it to do. So I mean, and a lot of them are been, and that's what I love about this community because they're not like what are you talking about, like this and that, or talking down to me, but it's more or less like, oh yeah, just tell me what like they're just a sponge for knowledge. Like I want to learn what you're how you do this, and like I'm more than willing to to show people because it's like it's not really that hard. It's just for me, I had that knowledge way back when, and that's like I'm more than willing to like let people know, like, yeah, this is all you have to do. It's just like, and a lot of times the stuff that I've been doing recently, it's just really three lights. That's all it is, and using like a simple like bounce like this, just a little whiteboard
Okay.
to bounce light on the figure, and that's
Hmm.
pretty much it. On a little little clamp like this.
I have that same
So,
clamp
like,
right next to me.
yep, and just to stand it up, just so you can get a little like bounce on the face. So
I have a question for you, John. As
Yep.
a photographer, do you prefer to do like practical effects as opposed to go in and alter your picture afterwards?
I wish I could do practical. So like we mentioned Sir Dork, and he does a lot of fire stuff, fireworks and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And for me, like I'm too OCD about that as far as my figures. Like I'm not gonna take I'm not gonna take this Frankenstein and put a whole bunch of fireworks behind him or stuff like that. It's like that's not gonna happen. So I don't want his pants to catch on fire. But I mean I don't. So for me, it's like I kind of dabble a little bit. I have a smoke machine, a little portable, a little fogger that I bought.
Fogger.
Yep. So I kind of just like I can like create some sort of like atmosphere with that. And really, this little device here, this little face mister, is really what I use for a lot of my misting shots. This thing.
Oh wow,
Nice.
So
that's cool.
I mean, and yeah, I think I bought this, and my wife's like, "What? You don't have makeup? Like, what do you use this for?" It's like this for. Don't
Honey,
worry,
don't
don't
ask
worry. It's
questions.
yeah, it's for my figures right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the stuff I wish I could do in camera, but yeah, I don't really do a lot of outdoor stuff where they can. I've seen them where they have like the little it's like a plunger. It's like a little
Oh yeah,
it's
the
like a
air
shooter.
press. Yeah, to shoot
The
the
air
water up
yeah
and stuff.
Yeah, either water or dirt, to kind
Yeah.
of get like a little poof of
Yeah.
debris and stuff. But no, I mean, most of my stuff, and it's really not a lot in Photoshop as far as effects, because I do applaud people that can think of that, because a lot of times I that's one thing where I'm really kind of I hit the brick wall, is like, okay, how do I visually kind of represent effects in here, like fire flames or like a certain thing. So it's like I've been trying like not to try and incorporate that in my shots, because it tends to be I spend too much time on that, because I overthink it a little bit.
Yeah.
When I try and incorporate kind of those kind of special effects. Okay, let me just try and like just do something basic or simple, not too kind of out there.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the guys that can do like a lot of the Photoshops,
Yep.
but like I don't mind a little bit of Photoshop, but I'm totally in it. Like, of course, I was born way a long time before you guys were. I'm almost 10 years older than both of you. So my
Oh, come
practical
on,
effect,
man.
I am, dude. I was born
How
in
old are you,
70.
man?
I was born in 73.
Okay.
Big 4-0 this Friday. Big
Yeah,
4-0 this Friday.
big
Oh
4-0.
my
He's
gosh.
the pup here. Let's
Oh my
just
gosh.
take him out. He's a young punk. So, but I mean, I admire like all the digital stuff, but sometimes some of these guys are doing like they take a shot of just a figure standing there, then everything around it is just like digital, right? And it's like, is it really action figure photography at that point? Yeah, to a point, but it's more like graphic design at that point in time. And I respect them for being able to do it, because I can't do graphic design to save my life, but it's a totally different aspect to the hobby that I see.
No, I get
Yeah,
that.
it's another skill, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Good deal. Cool. So I'm gonna go to. Oh, my mouse is gonna follow my direction. There it goes. Been having trouble with this all night. My apologies. So one of the things you kind of alluded to was extreme sets. You use those.
Mm-hmm.
I see some photos in the slides. You've got like pillars, like from like like stone pillar looking things. That do it yourself stuff is stuff you've ordered offline and you like commission from others, or do you kind of just use things around the house that you already had in a lot of cases?
No, that's most of the stuff I have there. It's all like I bought it because I do not.
Okay.
I do not have that skill set, because it's like that's one thing I wish I did, but no. I was actually watching Legion's Con, or the Legion's Lounge yesterday with Trevor and his guests, and they were talking about the stuff you buy at these conventions, like that's unpainted. The cool thing about going to those conventions, you can like if you have a pal out there that knows how to do custom work and painting, you can just like, hey, give that to them, going, hey, take this home with you, paint it, I'll pay you, and then just ship it back to me, because I don't have the skill set. The only thing I have done, I have made some trees. I saw like a how to do video on how to do trees, but I mean they came out all right. But it's like, for me, it's like it's enough to kind of like do my regular 9 to 5, and then try and and actually focus on photography and whatnot. Then it's like I don't want to take the time to have to make a dio or do this, or make bricks, or make a whole wall to to as a diorama. So it's like I'll just get somebody to do it. But I am grateful that I have been in this community where people have, we all support each other. I've helped people out, a couple of times of getting stuff when they couldn't, by going to a show, or getting stuff that that sold out, and I add an extra one, like, hey, you can just take, have it, and then they just pay me back with like, hey, I'll take care of a dial, I'll do a dial for you, or I'll paint this, whatever. If you have a custom, I'll do a custom figure, or whatever it is, it's just that's what's great about it. But no, most of my stuff in there, it's all like I've either bought it Etsy, or just had somebody from the community just commission it for me. So that's pretty much where I get my stuff. Well, and actually that one you have on the slide, that's actually a diorama prints. It's actually a dioramaprints.com. They're actually like, they actually make like printouts that you can put on. Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, they're already printed. You
they do have the ones that you can do. Yeah, you can buy them.
Yeah. So you just buy them and they're already printed out, and you just tack them onto like a just on a cardboard or whatever, and or a foam board, and you can just like have them like placed up behind. So yeah, that's what that is in that particular photo there.
Interesting. Yeah, that looks cool. I thought this was a cool one. Just the kind of the dark grimminess to it, with the the burnt face figure and then that darker black and white. I thought was really cool. You covered all my questions around this slide, and you already kind of touched on the community stuff. So I'll just throw this one last question out to you. Is do you have any favorite interactions with your fans or moments where your work really resonated with someone?
I think, I mean, it's kind of, it's always weird when people reach out to you. I mean, I've had people reach out to me and say like, hey, if I send you something, can you take a photo of it or this and that? It's like that's the part that's kind of like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, like I'm nobody. It's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, no big deal. It's like, I mean, yeah, I'll do that. Or if if people want to collab with me and say, oh, yeah, your stuff's awesome, and do you want to collab and do on a certain figure or this and that? I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. So, I mean, that to me that's kind of like the heartwarming aspect of it, because it's like, oh yeah, it's like, I mean, you get a little recognition, but it's like I truly like the collaboration, and truly enjoy people reaching out to me and just saying, hey, yeah, it's like, I like your stuff, and like I had somebody, again, reach out the other day and say, hey, I have some custom figures that I really don't do photography well. But could you shoot them for me because I'm not really that well? It's like, yeah, absolutely, no big deal. And I mean, yeah, it's like I'll do that. That'll be no problem with it. And so, yeah, I just, to me, that's what I've enjoyed so far is that.
Cool.
And yep.
So I know you're
That's
friends
awesome.
with Ken and all, but how blown away were you when they asked you to actually photo the D17?
That, I mean, since you brought it up, Ed, I didn't want to bring it up. I was like, that was that was cool. That was like, I was just like, yeah, no problem. And then a couple weeks later, I mean, this big box of D17 shows up. I'm just like, oh my god, like, what do I do? Oh my gosh, it's like, hopefully I don't screw this up, or hopefully it's they're like because it's like that now we're talking like this is like actually then this is like a company. This is like some a real deal here. It's like it's not like some I mean, not that anything else is in less serious, but it's like, I mean, when you're running something like that, I mean, that's like you're putting a lot of behind it. There's a machine behind it that you put a lot of hard effort into it. Like I don't want my stuff to just be less than what they would post out there, or like oh my god, this is crap. Like what
hell is this garbage?
Yeah, exactly. This is garbage. Like, so yeah, I mean, and the feedback that I've gotten from that, it's been very well received, and I appreciate that. And so yeah, I mean, anything like that, it's always, I mean, honestly, and I told my wife this is like, because when she's like, well, are you getting paid this and that? It's like, well, I mean, it's not where, it's not really, it's about like getting the, the being able to do this stuff, because it's like, look, I love the figures. I love doing this stuff. And it's like, it's the passion.
Yeah.
And, all that stuff can come later. I mean, if, for whatever reason, I mean, but it's just like, I really enjoy doing this kind of work, and people that actually take it like, oh man, we love this stuff. And if they want to post it, or if they want to, create posters and like, have it, at a convention, like, like, oh, this is our product. I mean, like, this is, it's not even about me. It's more or less like promoting the actual product. Like, this is what we have going, and I'm behind it 100%. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, I think every toy photographer that gets into the game, they're just like that's all they care about. It's just like they would love to see, like, if Mattel reached out to me and said, hey man, we got a couple of Masterverse figures, do you mind shooting it for us? Yeah, absolutely. It's like, am I getting paid, or do I care about getting paid? No, I don't care. It's like, just give, I'll shoot them for you and you can post them on your social media or whatever. It's like that is such a honor and a privilege. I mean, that's what we all love doing. I mean, what I love doing, it's like I would love to just yep, I don't mind doing that. 100%.
There's guys out there getting paid, but I think they still, even especially when they started out, right? It's still about
exactly.
It's still about that kudos of being recognized for some photo you took, especially when you're just kind of like doing it because it's something you actually enjoy doing, right? And it's like,
I got it. It's when you're kind of just toying around.
There you go. There you go. Yep, you're just toying around.
That's why we keep you around, Travis, for the great songs, great quirks.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Cool. So that's awesome. And first, before we move on from this, I want to say thank you, John, for joining us tonight. You know, I threw this out there to you, you know, just a bit ago. You jumped on it. Really appreciate you coming on. We're not done just yet. But I just want to say thank you. You did mention community, and this ties to it. You talked about, you know, earlier on during the show when we were first talking, you talked about how like the algorithms and things like that. Well, I don't know how well the algorithm's gonna work, but we had an idea that Ed and I like kind of smashed our brains together, and
we had half a brain after that.
Exactly. And we came up with this thing, and before I kind of go to the window and call it out what it is, I'm gonna just put out there to folks. It's, you know, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of Inkvember. I'm sorry, Inktober. Apologize, I'm mixing up my terms. Inktober, something I found out several years back. My son, he's big into graphic design and artist stuff. There's a lot of folks that draw and do art. They do this thing called Inktober, and every October, it's basically, you know, a social media blitz of your artwork, and it's a day-to-day prompt. You draw something. It's to challenge your creativity and the ability to, you know, draw and you know, maybe something you're not as comfortable with, right? Things like that, right? To get you out of your shell and just kind of expand on your creative skill set and enhance your ability. So I kind of bounced around this idea that we will have our own version of Inktober, but it's going to be called Toyvember. And it's going to be action figure photography. It's going to be a month-long action figure photography challenge. Toyvember takes place throughout November. Encourage daily participation in toy photography community, November 1st through the 30th, right? So the idea here is we spread this like wildfire. We make this an annual event. The ToyLeet is going to put on the Toyvember event. We get the hashtag. We're gonna promote it. First thing we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to put out there's some key pieces folks should understand. We'll cut this and snip this video to explain the rules to folks, drop it out there so people, you know, as they come across it over the next 30 so days, they can sign up. You earn points. Points are based on participation. We love participation trophies. It's 2024, folks. Everybody gets one. But there's a twist in it. You participate every day. You get a point automatically. All you got to do is tag ToyLeet and tag Toyvember in your post. There's going to be a prompt we post every day with something. And the idea is that you take an action figure photography, an action figure photo. It can be on your phone. It could be on like a crazy ass cool camera like John's rocking. You could use lighting. Don't use lighting. The idea here is to champion your skill set, get it out there, get yourself in front of other, you know, collaborators, as you mentioned, right, John? Start bringing attention to the action figure photography. Try to build everybody's portfolio up. Challenge yourself with something a little different. We'll do points. There's going to be some judges. We'll be announcing the judges, you know, over the course of the next month on our shows. We may be popping some of them into the stream, but the idea is that we'll announce the judges. The key about the judges is that once those judges are announced, if you tag them in your photo, you tag their Instagram, they, you know, ToyLeet will be working with them. We're all going to be given a certain amount of points that are kind of judge exclusive points. So as we see others, you know, posting their photos, the ones that really kind of like, you know, speak to us, or we see something really cool, or maybe like day one, Johnny took some photos and they were like really cruddy, and some people chatted and gave him some feedback. And then on day two, the dude came out and hit a home run. And as a judge, I feel that was like a really impressive thing. We're going to be able to give points to these people. The idea
it's
here
not really
is
going to be about the best photo too. It might be about like what photo hit the daily challenge right on the mark, even if your photo is
exactly
not as good as somebody else's, right? But
yep.
So,
could be funny, could be comical, could be things like that, right? And the idea here is that you're going to earn these points. You get your points for participating. We're going to have a Google survey thing sent, you know, posted on Instagram. You can click on and pre-register. If you pre-register, you automatically get 5 points. So all you got to do is pre-register for it. Take part every day, taking, you know, action on whatever that prompt is for the day, and you get your points. At the end of the 30 days of November, we will have grabbed up all the points, and the first ToyLeet episode, ToyLeet Takeover Tuesday in December, we will announce the winners. And the key here is, let me go through my slides. I think I spoke through everything that's on the slides, kind of in there. Daily prompts on ToyLeet Instagram, right? Each day a new prompt will be posted on ToyLeet Instagram, guiding your photography challenge for that day. I already hit that one.
A couple of the examples that we talked about, Travis, not specific ones, but just ones that for the kind of challenges.
So like the idea, so like an example of a daily prompt could be, it could be teamwork. It could be falling, it could be the word falling. That could be however you perceive it, right? It's going to be a generic enough prompt. And we already have the prompts, but it's going to be generic enough for you to be creative. You don't have to be a Joe fan. You don't have to be a Masterverse fan. You don't have to be a AWalk fan. You don't have to be a specific line. Hell, you could be a Lego fan and you could fit this in some capacity. So really, it's about engaging any type of, toy photographer in the genre to just kind of expose themselves to a different challenge and prompt them to keep building their skill set and also engage with the community. The idea is about kind of making connections with folks you may not have previously. Maybe someone from one of our photos will end up on the Geek Out show. Maybe somebody posting something from the Toyvember, could end up on your show if they're doing some really cool stuff. Again, the daily prompts could be it could be jumping, it could be tripping. There's a bunch of different ideas, a bunch of different prompts we already have. But
and
generic
also
enough
the
for
prompts, you could do individual photos every day, or you could tell a whole story throughout the whole month. So your photos could tell one whole story. It all depends on how you
exactly.
And you never know what's coming up the next day.
Exactly. It could be completely different toys day 1, and day 15 could be completely different toys, or day 1 to day 30 could be all the same, telling a story over a course of time, depending on how you want to perceive it. So have fun with it. I think it's a really cool thing. Like I said, you're going to share your work. You're going to tag hashtag Toyvember and hashtag ToyLeet. You'll also be able to at the judges, right? Because this is the real world. Put some money in those judges' pockets. No, don't put real money in it. Just give them an ad, tag them. Let them see your work, right? Because those are the ones that are going to be casting the additional points. And again, there's a defined amount of points that each judge is going to have. If they throw 50 points, let's say every judge gets 50 points. If they throw every point on day 1 to John's picture, they got no more points to give out for the rest of the contest. But you won't know that. Only the judges will know how the points is. We're keeping a log to it, and then it's we're gonna determine the winners based on that. Improve your skills, gain exposure, right? We already covered on this. Engage with other creators, get noticed by new fans and fellow enthusiasts, and then win prizes. That's what it's about, right? Not only do you get a chance to build your portfolio, but you also get a chance to win exciting prizes just in time for holidays. So if you're in the continental US, there will be prizes. For those that aren't familiar, I got a whole bunch of plastic in boxes that I haven't opened from some Cosmic Legions, some lines that I've decided that I didn't want to necessarily maintain. We've also got some other sponsors we're talking to and folks to see about donating things into it. And we'll also, some gift cards for some potential toy stores, things like that. Really, we're not going to make any money off this. It's not about that. It's about growing the community amongst the ToyLeet and, building this action figure, monthly Toyvember. Let's do this year, get it off the ground, and do it again next year. But the idea is that there'll be prizes and a chance to win. If you live in the continental US, we will ship that out to you for free. If you don't live in the US, I'm not saying we won't ship it to you, but we're gonna have to find a way for you to pay to have that shipped to you, because I know it gets a little pricey. But
the other thing we should mention is that if you're not great at photography, don't worry about it. Just come in, have fun, and if you're in the chat and you see a picture of John's that's you like, ask John a question, right? Ask whoever is participating how they did it, right? Most of us, I won't say all of us, but most of us are more than willing to share, how we did it, what we used, what figure it is. There's not very many of us that are gatekeepers.
No,
I mean, we all have our trade secrets.
No, this is going to be. This is like anti.
I've known so many guys that are just afraid to share their pictures, and then they start sharing them, and everybody loves them on Instagram. And it's like it's sad.
Exactly.
That people are so worried about that feedback. Just go out and have fun with your camera and your toys. You could use the crappy, flip phone if you want to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, do it, man. Do the flip phone. It'll be awesome. It'll be good. We've got some interesting things going to happen. We are really excited about Toyvember. I think it's a cool event. I hope folks will take part in it. If we get 10 people to take part in it, that's great. If we get 100 people to take part in it, it's fine. Whatever, obviously, the more, I won't say obviously, but one of the things Ed and I've talked about is the more involvement from the community, the more folks, the pre-sign up before the end of October, which again, we'll be posting that link on Instagram tomorrow, and then we'll be dropping it into the upcoming streams. So you'll see that. But if you pre-register before November, you get a set of bonus points in advance of it. So you're already off to a head start. But again, if you don't start till day 3 or 4, that's fine. You still could win because, again, there's the judges' bonus points that can be given out at any given time for some really whatever reason, right? We know Punk, he loves his Super 7 stuff like crazy. He might throw some Punk. If we have Punk get on there and be a judge, maybe he'll give you some extra points for being Super 7 fan. If you put wrestling stuff in there, maybe Mr. Wonderful will throw a couple points your way. Who knows? But yeah, it can
especially
be a really
if it's
cool
Bret
thing.
Hart, because Mr. Wonderful loves Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Too.
If you put Bret Hart getting his jaw smashed in, I'm fine with that. So I hope to see folks in the chat that are, working on those photography pictures, already, thinking up some ideas and thinking about what they want to do. Again, it's gonna be a little difficult until you see the prompt, but the prompts are very, very simple. It should be easy for you to jump into.
We're going to start promoting it over the month, so start sharing it around to all your friends and your groups and stuff like that, because we'll be
absolutely
sharing it all the time. Get everybody aware.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Awesome.
Because the more
John,
people
we have,
the more chances to win there's going to be also.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's what I was alluding to. The more people we get into it, the more prizes. If we only have 10 people, we'll do prizes for the top 3. If we get 20 or 30 people, we're going to enhance the winners pool a decent amount. We want to incentivize folks to take part in this challenge themselves, build out their skill set, and then connect in the community, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about the brotherhood. It's about the ToyLeet, and it's about taking over. So with that said, John, thank you so much again for jumping on. And telling us some tips and tricks, give us a little background. Are you gonna take part in Toyvember?
Oh, definitely. It's always a fun thing to do these events. It's like I don't expect to win or anything like that. It's just always I love the challenges, right? It's like the daily challenge. I mean, like you said, falling. What does that even mean? It's like you have to kind of like think about that a little bit. So it's like, it's always kind of fun to kind of come up with concepts and ways to kind of do a shot here and there. So yeah, I'm definitely going to take part of it. Looking forward to it.
Deal.
My daughter, who does photography, did a TikTok photography challenge, I think last year.
Oh,
and it was cool because like that was the same kind of thing, right? Like take a window shot or whatever the hell the prompts were, right? So like every morning before she was going off to college, she's like, Dad, I got to take this shot today. Give me some ideas before I leave. I'm like, I haven't even had my first cup of coffee yet, kid. Ask me later.
And
nice.
One of the things, as you said, right, John, you're going to take part. There's 2 guys that I know that are ToyLeet already that are going to take part in this, because Ed and myself are going to take part in this. We can't win, obviously, because that would be like de facto. I mean, judges' points.
That'd be like me giving myself a group membership on Helidope the other night.
Oh,
exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly what it would be, and gifting yourself a membership to a stream that
I didn't even know that could happen, but I did it.
Yeah.
So.
So
nice.
For sure, we'll be taking part in that. So before we wrap up and close up, I'm going to pass it over to you, John. Anything you want to promote coming up? I know you talked a little bit earlier about the Geek Out show you do every Tuesday night. That is 6 p.m. Eastern time, I think.
6 p.m. Central. So we go.
6 p.m. Central.
Yep. I'm in the Central time, so I always think Central. I'm in Texas, so yeah, everything's 6. It's Geeked Out Live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central, and pretty much like just catch me on Instagram. I mean, if anyone has any questions or anything like that, I mean, I'm an open book. Just hit me up, and I can answer the best I can. I mean, like I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just like, I mean, I love doing this kind of stuff. So it's like, hey, if you ask me like, hey, how'd you do this? I'll let you in on the behind the scenes, and then just give you any kind of tips and tricks.
Awesome. And then Ed, before we go to you shilling for yourself, is there anybody in the chat we need to pull up? I think there was a couple of folks in the chat we want to shout out. I know we were talking for a bit.
So what's up, brother Radnom?
Hey, Random.
You started this, but I kind of laughed at it. So Payne just got his notification that his Falcon and
Wow.
402 pack will ship in 348 years. Nice.
Oh my gosh. I got excited for a minute. 'Cause I was like, oh, Falcon and 4 is shipping. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, oh wait.
I don't know if that's honest that it's 348 years, but with the way things are nowadays, I wouldn't doubt it. So
Yep.
I mean, it's going to get interesting right now because the ports are shutting down for a minute here. So if it's not in here, we'll see what happens.
Did they? So they didn't come
Awesome.
to an agreement yet, I guess.
No, not yet. So it'll be interesting to see how our plastic is affected coming in. So hopefully they shore that up quickly because there's a lot of stuff on order that I really want to get my hands on.
Right.
So I want my Savage Crucible Wave 2 stuff.
Great time of year for it too, right before you
exactly.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. This isn't planned or nothing.
So both of y'all going to be at LegionsCon, or is it just you, Travis?
What was that?
So both of you going to LegionsCon, or is it just you, Travis?
I have not purchased my ticket. I have a hotel room. I originally was trying to get a booth there, but unfortunately they added some stuff with their like part swapping thing, and I think they booked a few more tables, so I wasn't able to get one. And I was on the backup one, and actually was going to be doing a convention on Sunday local to my home at one of the convention centers, but that convention center whole thing kind of fiasco changed, and they aren't hosting vendors. They're only hosting like Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Lex Luger, wrestler people for autographs and stuff. So they moved away from the vendor aspect. So I wasn't gonna do the whole weekend, and now I'm kind of like, maybe I'll just do the 2-day if there's still 2-day passes. We'll see. I have the hotel room booked, otherwise I got to cancel that here, and I probably should do that sooner than later. But I'm planning to definitely attend that Saturday. So I got to just figure it out. I think it's the same price to do a 2-day versus a single day.
I might be there. It all depends.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that.
For a couple of days anyway. So
you gotta come in, man. It's like, come on.
Well, right now Oz has a ticket that's for his friend, but his friend might not be able to make it. So if that falls through, then I'll be staying with Oz and using that ticket. So
gotcha.
But I'm going to be traveling to San Antonio the weekend before that to see my daughter graduate from Lackland Air Force Base. So
nice. So
it's kind of like I was not going to do LegionsCon after doing that, but if Oz has the ticket and the free room and board or whatever, then I'll definitely.
Did you say San Antonio?
San Antonio.
Yeah.
San Antonio.
As in like the hometown of the HBK?
Yeah.
You knew where I was going.
Dome. The Alamo. Yeah.
I've been to San Antonio.
Awesome.
So I was stationed at Fort Hood for 3 years, man. I know all about Texas.
Yeah, I'm from Dallas, so and San Antonio. That's a hop, skip, jump away from here. So
gotcha. So Ed, with that said, no more chat.
Chat's done.
What do you got?
You know me, man. I'm all over the internet, right? I'm modding for Radnom on Saturday. I'll be on the Clubhouse, or Radnom on Friday, Clubhouse Saturday night. Hella Dope on Sunday with Legend Series. So everybody tune in for that, 9 p.m. Eastern on Hella Dope. Then I'll be with Punk for a couple of days this week. And, Thursday is Foo. Yeah, Thursday is Fat Red Foo on Punk with Friends. So,
yep.
And then next Tuesday, Travis and I will be back here.
We will be back here. And actually, that's why I pulled up the slide, because I forgot to do this.
Oh, you forgot the preview for next week.
The preview for next week. Collector types from inbox to high end. What kind of collector are you? So we will be chatting about the psychopaths that keep their plastic in boxes that don't let it breathe.
No. Gotta let them breathe, man.
We'll talk about those degenerates that don't care about figure value, and that take them out into the mud and the grass and get them dirty. So we will talk about those folks next week and discuss kind of what toy collector you are. So if you're attending next week and listening in, do so, and come plan to talk about how you collect your figures. With that said, Ed, the only thing I've got going on this next week is at some point the One Two Kick Out podcast has to get together, and I have to kick Black Knight's ass. It just so happens that he came into the chat, but I have to kick his ass.
I called him out, and you finished him off, man. It was perfect.
At the pick'em for Bad Blood on Saturday. So he and I are going to have to jump on a stream here and record that and get back on the horse there. So we will. That's where you'll find me. Otherwise, I will be in the comments of Hella Dope, Punk, Oz's. I'll probably chump in for a second here and there. while I'm watching Bad Blood, and I'll listen to our buddy Fat Red get harassed by Punk for a few hours tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be a
Thursday night.
show.
Exactly.
Yeah, Travis, man, you gotta redeem yourself, man. Because after SummerSlam, that was those pick'ems. I mean, he got you pretty good.
It was
there,
bad.
Man. So, it was bad. Yeah.
You let Black Knight kick you through the window.
No, Ed, we're gonna do that to you.
I'm not
2024.
Bring it.
No, but yeah, so that's all I got.
I'd be more afraid of
this week.
Son of Wonder than you. Let me put it that way.
That's probably not a bad thing. That's probably online and on par.
He's an animal.
He is. So with that said, I like to send it out this way every week now. So stay wonderful.
Now, but remember this. Let your toys breathe. Do it.